A very good afternoon, all of you. Once again, we are back with the Constitutional Law session. So please join in quickly so that we can start with the session. Hello, everyone. I'm Sonia Pandey. You're watching me at RostrumLegal. So a very good afternoon. Let's join in the session quickly so that we can start with today's class. All right, and also let me know if I am audible. If you can hear my voice, you can, see me. You can see the whiteboard behind. Yes, please. Am I audible, everyone? ठीक है, आप लोग ठीक है? हम पढ़ने के लिए तैयार हैं, हम पढ़ाई शुरू कर सकते हैं? आज की क्लास शुरू करें? Hello, Rupali. A very good afternoon. Good afternoon, Tushita. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Ananya. So one more day with constitutional law and then next week we are moving on to other subject. All right. So एक और दिन हम constitutional law की बात करेंगे and उसके बाद next week से हम जो है we will move on to other subjects. The timetable will be displayed to you on Sunday. You will be informed about it. And हमारा अगला हफ्ता 15 दिन जो है वो उस सब्जेक्ट से रिलेटेड जो भी उसके इम्पोर्टेंट रेलेवेंट टॉपिक्स हैं हम उसको कवर करेंगे. माय एफर्ट वुड बी, मेरी कोशिश ये रहेगी कि कीपिंग इन माइंड द अपकमिंग एग्जाम्स, सो जो इम्पोर्टेंट टॉपिक्स हैं जो मुझे लगता है व्हाट आई फील विल बी रेलेवेंट फॉर द पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ योर मेंस, क्योंकि राजस्थान का भी मेंस है, हरियाणा का भी मेंस है एंड एमपी का भी प्रिलिमिनरी होगा तो उसका मेंस होगा एंड देयर आर अपकमिंग एग्जाम्स एज वेल. So, with keeping that thing in mind, I'll try to provide you, at least try to clear the concepts. और हम कुछ questions भी discuss करेंगे. We will be discussing some questions as well. Alright? Emergency and Article 13. We have not done emergency and Article 13. Alright. कोई बात नहीं. So we can do one thing. Let's have an extra class on Sunday. Let's not take an off on Sunday. Alright? And let's have an extra class on Sunday, and that day we can cover emergency. We did, I think, Article 352 national emergency we have covered, Tushita. Precedent rule we did not cover as far as I remember. So, that is actually I left it for the, generally we cover it in the normal classes for YouTube session, but emergency, I think article, okay, we did only, acha, you want me to cover precedent rule, is it? आप चाहते हो मैं precedent rule cover करूं? Okay, so are you finding the session helpful? So if you're really finding the session helpful, please share it with your friends and ask them to subscribe the channel if you think that, जो भी आपको यहाँ पढ़ाया जा रहा है उससे आपको थोड़ी सी भी help अगर मिल रही है, if you're getting some help out of it, share it with your friends as well. So आप मुझे ये कह रहे हो कि you want me to take a precedent rule? Finance, see. Okay, thank you so much. Emergency mein what she is saying is, Ananya, that emergency mein, okay, let's talk for a lot. Thank you, Manya. That means a lot. All right. So emergency mein the thing is that we have not covered precedent rule. All right. That is on the basis of the constitutional breakdown that we have not covered. So, okay, then I can plan something for you as a gift, since you have been very regular and watching this session. So I'll do something. I'll take out some extra time, and before the next week, before Monday, I'll definitely plan out a session on emergency and Article 13. But since precedent rule अपने आप में एक बड़ा topic है, इमरजेंसी ठीक है, प्रेसिडेंट ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट रूल, एंड देन आर्टिकल 13 अपने आप में डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ सेवरेबिलिटी, डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ इक्लिप्स एक बड़ा टॉपिक है. सो वी रिक्वायर 2 hours. So we have to see what we, what we are going to do about it. So I'll do it. I promise I'll do it. If you want it, you need to tell me what are the topics you want. If you want it, that will be done. But you promise me that, you have to be regular. You are going to attend the session, and you need to tell me that, how is it going and everything. आपको मुझे बताना पड़ेगा. अगर आपको ये topics discuss करने हैं, so definitely I'll do that with you. नो इश्यूज, आई हैव नो इश्यूज एट ऑल. हमें वो देखना पड़ेगा कैसे, क्योंकि दोनों के लिए हमें एटलीस्ट 1-1 घंटा तो चाहिए. 1-1 घंटा भी कम है, बट एटलीस्ट थोड़ा बहुत समझने के लिए हमें वी नीड 1 hour, राइट? वी विल डू इट, डोंट वरी. फाइन. सो ओके, लेट्स स्टार्ट विथ. बातचीत बहुत ज्यादा हो गई, एंड एज आई सेड, एनी वन ऑफ यू इज देयर इन द ड्रीम जुडिशरी प्रोजेक्ट? हैव यू रजिस्टर्ड फॉर दैट? आर यू अटेंडिंग दोज क्लासेस? Anyway, so coming back to today's session, अब आज पढ़ाई शुरू करें. हो गई? अच्छा, you want सारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पढ़ना है? Okay. So now we are left with 3 topics. ठीक है, मैं सारा कवर करूंगी, बट ये आपकी जिम्मेदारी है कि यू शेयर इट मोर एंड मोर नंबर ऑफ पीपल, राइट? ओके, सो दैट इज योर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी दैट यू डू इट. ऑलराइट, मैं पढ़ाऊंगी, कोई बात नहीं, मुझे पढ़ाने में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. आई डील विद दोज टॉपिक्स. अगर मेरी थोड़ी सी मेहनत करने से आपकी हेल्प हो जाती है, इफ यू रियली फाइंड इट हेल्पफुल, देन आई विल डू इट. डोंट वरी अबाउट इट, बट देन बी रेगुलर, देन ओनली आई विल डू इट. ऑलराइट, अब शुरू करें. प्रेसिडेंट के बारे में पढ़ना शुरू करें प्लीज. आज का जो टॉपिक है. ओके, यू आर रजिस्टर्ड. मूवीज वर्ल्ड, व्हाट इज योर नेम? मूवीज वर्ल्ड. ओनली यू आर रजिस्टर्ड, या आप क्लासेस भी कर रहे हो? अच्छा भाई, पढ़ लो जिसके लिए इकट्ठा हुए हैं. ये प्रेसिडेंट वाला टॉपिक खत्म हो जाए, फिर हम लोग इसके बारे में बात कर लेंगे फिर से. ठीक है? ओके, नाउ लेट्स स्टार्ट. सी, प्रेसिडेंट बेसिकली मुझे बस आपको क्या क्या हम कवर करेंगे. प्रेसिडेंट का सिग्निफिकेंस क्या है? वी नो दैट प्रेसिडेंट इज कंसिडर्ड टू बी ऑल्दो नॉट मुजाहिद शेख. ओके, ऑलराइट. So we know that जितने भी executive functions होते हैं, they are basically, let's come back to the topic. Class, please आ जाइए सब लोग. A very good afternoon all of you. Let's start. Alright, हम ये सब बातें करते रहेंगे. Let's start. Fine. Thank you Mujahid. Thank you so much. अब पढ़ लो प्लीज. अब यहां भी पढ़ लो. चलो अब आगे बढ़ते हैं. आज का टॉपिक खत्म करते हैं. तो हमारी कोशिश, हम बात करेंगे प्रेसिडेंट के बारे में. प्रेसिडेंट का सिग्निफिकेंस क्या है, प्रेसिडेंट का रिमूवल कैसे होता है, ठीक है? एंड ऑल्सो वी विल टॉक अबाउट दैट कि बेसिकली प्रेसिडेंट के पावर्स क्या क्या हैं, ठीक है? जब हम डिस्क्रिशन ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट की बात करते हैं, पर्टिकुलरली व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द डिस्क्रिशन ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट, सो ये जो डिस्क्रिशन ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट है, क्या ये वर्ड यूज हुआ है कहीं कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में? जब हम सेटिस्फैक्शन ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट की बात करते हैं, तो क्या ये वर्ड सेटिस्फैक्शन जो है कहीं यूज हुआ है, ठीक है? या सेटिस्फैक्शन ऑफ द प्रेसिडेंट का मतलब जो है, क्या ये है कि दैट इज द पर्सनल सेटिस्फैक्शन ऑफ द प्रेसिडेंट? ऑलराइट, so we will be talking about all these things, and how the drafting, the members of the drafting committee of the constituent assembly, and how basically the Supreme Court has seen the role or the positioning of the president. All right, so we are going to talk about that as well. ठीक है, हम इसके बारे में भी बात करेंगे. Clear? So see, when we talk of the president of India, who is the president of India currently? By the way, मेरा सवाल आपसे ये है, who is currently the president of India and कौन से नंबर के राष्ट्रपति हैं वो? हमारे जो राष्ट्रपति साहब हैं वो कौन हैं? एंड कौन सेवें, जैसे कहते हैं व्हाट नंबर, विच नंबर, ठीक है, ये हमें पता होना चाहिए, राइट? हम प्रेसिडेंट के बारे में पढ़ रहे हैं. एंड ऑल्सो हु वॉज द फर्स्ट प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया, इंडिपेंडेंट इंडिया आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट. ठीक है, आप मुझे वैसे मत बताइए. हु वॉज द फर्स्ट प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंट इंडिया? एंड फर्स्ट थिंग, एंड सेकेंड थिंग जो आपको मुझे बताना है कि हु इज द करंट प्रेसिडेंट. ठीक है, एंड कौन सेवें राष्ट्रपति हैं वो, कौन सेवें प्रेसिडेंट हैं वो. नाउ कमिंग बैक टू, ये आप चैट बॉक्स में, लाइव चैट में रिप्लाई कर दीजिएगा. Coming back to the point, what I was saying is कि जो role of the president है, generally you know it was said by one of the members, that is Dr. Aladi Krishna Swami Iyer, कि अगर हमको role of the president देखना है, ठीक है, so वो हम president के indirect elections से ही देख लेते हैं कि what is the role of the president. alright, कि किस तरीके से प्रेसिडेंट का इलेक्शन होता है, वो बहुत कुछ जो है उनके रोल के बारे में जो है वो बताता है. वेरी गुड. ऑलराइट. एंड ऑल्सो यू नो इट वाज सेड दैट अगर आप कहीं पे भी देखें, सो ये डिस्क्रिशन वर्ड, बेसिकली द वर्ड डिस्क्रिशन और द वर्ड इंडिविजुअल जजमेंट इज नोवेयर रिटन, ठीक है, विच वाज यूज्ड बेसिकली फॉर द गवर्नर जनरल अंडर द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट 1935. These words are not written as far as, very good, these words are not written as far as you know the president of India is concerned. ठीक है, even Dr. Ambedkar, you know, while under the draft constitution he said that कि जब हम president की बात करते हैं, so the president occupies the same position as the king under the English constitution. मुझे आपके messages आज यहाँ पे देखने पड़ रहे हैं, ठीक है. So the president occupies the same position under as the king of the English constitution. ये बात ध्यान रखिएगा. That was a statement given by Dr. Ambedkar. And he is the head of the state, but not particularly, you know, the real head of the executive. He represents nation, but does not rule the nation. Now, these are some lines, you know, which can actually, if you get a question, चाहे आप UPSC aspirant हैं, चाहे आप, you know, judiciary aspirant हैं, if you get to write your answer in mains related to the president, so you can always write these lines that the president is a head who is actually, you know, he represents the nation. How he represents the nation? Because all the acts are done in his name. Governmental functions are performed in his name. But he is not the one who is actually ruling the nation. So his place in the administration basically is that of what? It is considered, it's a very harsh word that was used, that his place in the administration is basically of that of a ceremonial device on seal. Alright. By which a nation's decisions are made to be known. So जो seal होता है, you know, he is just a nominal, that is why it was said that he is just a nominal head. So his role is generally considered to be as a ceremonial device on the seal. And even when you talk about, you know, when you talk about the Supreme Court view, so Supreme Court has also consistently taken this view that कि जो position of the president है और governor है under the constitution is similar to the position of the crown under the British parliamentary system. All right. So essence क्या है? Basically parliamentary form of government का essence क्या है? Parliamentary form of government का essence ये है कि जो real executive power है, that should always be exercised by the council of ministers who are responsible to the Lok Sabha. फिर चाहे वो, now there were certain cases, right? चाहे वो राम जवाया versus state of Punjab case हो, या फिर शमशेर सिंह वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ पंजाब केस हो. दीज आर सम जुडिशियल प्रेसिडेंट्स, यू नो, ऑन रिकॉर्ड. आप लिख सकते हैं राम जवाया कपूर वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ पंजाब या शमशेर सिंह वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ पंजाब. ऑलराइट, जहां पे ये बात कही गई है कि द एसेंस, क्योंकि वी नो दैट वी आर इन अ पार्लियामेंट्री फॉर्म ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट. ऑलराइट, सो द एसेंस ऑफ अ पार्लियामेंट्री फॉर्म ऑफ अ गवर्नमेंट इज दैट द रियल एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर should be exercised by the council of ministers who are responsible to Lok Sabha. So the council of ministers basically who are enjoying a majority in the legislature, all right, they are concentrated in itself with the virtual control of both executive and legislative functions. ठीक? सो रियल पावर किसके पास है? रियल पावर जो है वो काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स के पास है. जहां पे भी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में, वेर एवर इन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन द सेटिस्फैक्शन ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट वर्ड इज रिटन, वेदर इट इज, आप ये नोट कर सकते हैं, प्लीज नोट इट डाउन दैट वेदर, लेट मी राइट इट डाउन. I have still not started. I'm just giving you first a brief background from the perspective of your means and for the perspective of your understanding. जहाँ पे भी constitution में, wherever in the constitution, you know, the word president is used or governor is used, और वहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है satisfaction of the president or the governor. For example, चाहे वो article, you know, article 123 हो गवर्नर के लिए, चाहे वो article 213 हो, ठीक है, या फिर आर्टिकल 311 रिलेटेड टू योर सिविल सर्विसेज, नो 2C हो, ठीक है, या फिर जब हम इमरजेंसी की बात करते हैं या प्रेसिडेंट रूल की बात करते हैं आर्टिकल 356 हो, ये मैंने आपको बताया भी है, या फिर फाइनेंशियल इमरजेंसी हो 360. सो दिस सेटिस्फैक्शन, जहां पे भी प्रेसिडेंट का सेटिस्फैक्शन लिखा है, ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे आप देखेंगे वर्ड लिखा हुआ है सेटिस्फैक्शन ऑफ द प्रेसिडेंट. All right, satisfaction of the president. Fine. So this satisfaction, you know, it is not the personal satisfaction. ये president का personal satisfaction नहीं है. यहाँ लिख रही हूँ और यहाँ मैं क्रॉस बना रही हूँ, ठीक है. सो डोंट गेट कंफ्यूज्ड, काट रही हूं मैं इसे. पर्सनल सेटिस्फैक्शन ऑफ द प्रेसिडेंट ये नहीं है, बट किसका सेटिस्फैक्शन है? इट इज द सेटिस्फैक्शन इन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल सेंस अंडर द कैबिनेट सिस्टम ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट, मीनिंग देवाई. और ये बात किसमें कही गई थी? राइट डाउन द नेम ऑफ द केस, शमशेर सिंह वर्सेस, सो दैट यू ऑल्सो, लेट मी चेंज द कलर ऑफ द पेन. शमशेर सिंह वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ पंजाब, 1974 Supreme Court. Right, I'm shifting this upward. देख पा रहे हैं आप ये? अच्छा, ये मुझे मैं फिर से लिख दे रही हूँ. I'm writing it here. शमशेर सिंह वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ पंजाब, 1974 Supreme Court. Now can you see? I think you can see the whole of it now, right everyone? दिख रहा है ना? ठीक है. तो जब भी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में, चाहे वो आर्टिकल, और ये एग्जाम्पल्स आप लिख सकते हैं, जब भी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में चाहे वो आर्टिकल आपका जो है वो 123 हो, आर्टिकल 213 हो, आर्टिकल 311 हो, आर्टिकल 356 हो, आर्टिकल 360 हो, यहाँ पे सेटिस्फैक्शन ऑफ द प्रेसिडेंट टर्म यूज किया गया है. जहां पे भी ये टर्म यूज किया गया है, इसका सिंपल सा मतलब ये है कि ये प्रेसिडेंट का पर्सनल सेटिस्फैक्शन नहीं है. This is a satisfaction under the cabinet system of the government. This is a satisfaction of the council of ministers on whose aid and advice the president or the governor generally exercises all the powers. Right? So president, जो भी president function, and also आप इस चीज को ऐसे भी देखो ना कि जो भी president function perform करता है, when you will be reading, right? जो भी president function perform करते हैं, तो वो functions वही है जो कि पार्लियामेंट परफॉर्म कर सकती है. ठीक है. सो द फंक्शंस ऑफ द प्रेसिडेंट आर लिमिटेड टू दैट एक्सटेंट. ऑलराइट. So you have to understand it in this term, and it is only on this particular background, if you understand this particular background, that you will be able to understand that what are the exact powers of the president, what are the exact functions of the president. शमशेर सिंह वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ पंजाब 1974 सुप्रीम कोर्ट के साथ साथ एक और केस है. इससे पहले कि हम आर्टिकल पढ़ना शुरू करें, वन बाय वन, जस्ट टू हेल्प यू अंडरस्टैंड द बैकग्राउंड, आई एम इरेजिंग दिस. ठीक. So there is this case of UN Rao versus इंदिरा गांधी. ठीक है. फाइन. एंड ये केस है आपका 1971 सुप्रीम कोर्ट का. इस केस में अगेन प्रेसिडेंट की पोजीशन को एक्सप्लेन करते हुए ये बात बोली गई थी इन दिस पर्टिकुलर केस कि जो आर्टिकल 74 क्लॉज 1 है, जो आर्टिकल 74 क्लॉज 1 है वो क्या है? ठीक है, वो मैंडेटरी है. दैट इज मैंडेटरी. आर्टिकल 74 क्लॉज 1 जो है वो मैंडेटरी है. देयरफॉर अगर हम प्रेसिडेंट की बात करें, सो प्रेसिडेंट कैन नॉट एक्सरसाइज द एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर विदाउट द एड एंड एडवाइस ऑफ द काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स. ऑलराइट. So that is why it is important, it becomes important to have a council of ministers, क्योंकि जो लिखा हुआ है ना कि the president has to act according to the subordinate officers. So who are these subordinate officers? These subordinate officers are nobody but the council of ministers. Basically the ministers, they are the subordinate officers of the president in general, but सारी power obviously practically उन्हीं के पास है, and we know that. सो इस पर्टिकुलर केस में यूएन राव वर्सेस इंदिरा गांधी में 1971 सुप्रीम कोर्ट में यह बात कही गई थी, जो आर्टिकल 74 क्लॉज 1 है वो मैंडेटरी है, एंड देयरफॉर द प्रेसिडेंट कैन नॉट एक्सरसाइज इट्स एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर विदाउट द एड एंड एडवाइस ऑफ द काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स. सो इसीलिए ये जरूरी हो जाता है, इट इज एसेंशियल टू हैव अ काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स अंडर आर्टिकल 74 क्लॉज 1 even at the time when the House of the People has been dissolved or its term has expired. अगर लोकसभा डिसॉल्व भी कर दी गई है, ठीक है, so it is important to have, it is essential to have council of ministers. It is important or essential to have council of ministers even if House of People मतलब even if House of People, alright, even if House of People, Lok Sabha dissolved. Alright, even if House of People, Lok Sabha dissolved or the term has expired. Term expired. Why? Why? Because how will the president work? You need to have council of ministers to aid and advise the president. So that is why अगर हाउस ऑफ पीपल डिसॉल्व भी हो गई है या उनका टर्म एक्सपायर भी हो गया है तो भी इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट टू हैव, दैट इज द रेलेवेंस ऑफ काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स. हालांकि टॉपिक काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स नहीं है, बट टू मेक यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट प्रेसिडेंट की जब हम पावर की बात करते हैं तो वी हैव टू, प्रेसिडेंट्स पावर इज ऑल डिपेंडेंट अपॉन द एड एंड एडवाइस ऑफ द काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स एक्सेप्ट इन वेरी फ्यू केसेस व्हिच वी विल सी. यहाँ तक क्लियर है एवरीवन? इज दिस बैकग्राउंड क्लियर टू यू? अब आगे चलें. आगे चलें. I really hope that you people are making your notes and making your pointers out of it. तभी तो फायदा है. ठीक है. ओके. सो एज आई टोल्ड यू, अगर आप आर्टिकल 77 पढ़ेंगे ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन तो वो क्या कहता है कि जो भी एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर्स हैं, फंक्शंस हैं, they are to be executed in the name of the president. All right. सो बेसिकली जो भी अगर उस हिसाब से देखा जाए तो प्रेसिडेंट हैज वाइड एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव पावर्स एंड अदर पावर्स व्हिच वी विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट। फाइन, अब समझने वाली बात यह है कि यूनियन एग्जीक्यूटिव का मतलब क्या होता है, ठीक है? बिकॉज व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट प्रेसिडेंट, व्हेन यू रीड योर बेयर एक्ट, सो इट इज प्रोवाइडेड अंडर पार्ट 5। बैकग्राउंड तो हमने समझ लिया, पार्ट 5। ऑलराइट, पार्ट 5 किससे रिलेटेड है? द यूनियन से, यूनियन से रिलेटेड है। चैप्टर 1, ये सब आपके प्रिलिमिनरी के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है। चैप्टर 1 क्या है? चैप्टर 1 द एग्जीक्यूटिव, ठीक, द एग्जीक्यूटिव। उसमें क्या है बेसिकली, पर्टिकुलरली अभी हम लोग पर्टिकुलरली डील करेंगे किससे? द प्रेसिडेंट, द प्रेसिडेंट। सो जब भी हम यूनियन एग्जीक्यूटिव की बात करते हैं, सो ऑलराइट, व्हाट ऑल इज इंक्लूडेड इन द यूनियन एग्जीक्यूटिव? आई विल कम टू योर बेयर एक्ट। व्हेन वी टॉक ऑफ यूनियन एग्जीक्यूटिव, what all is included, ठीक है? So it consists of president, vice president, all right, council of ministers and attorney general, ठीक है? ये आपके प्रिलिमिनरी में पूछ लेते हैं, what is included in union executive? So your union executive consists of president, vice president, council of ministers and attorney general, ठीक है? क्लियर? अब जब आप आर्टिकल 52 पढ़ेंगे, कहाँ गया ये? Whenever you will read article 52, I'm changing the color of it so that you can see. Very good. So whenever you read article 52, क्या लिखा है वहां पे? द प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया, ठीक है? सो क्या कहता है? दैट्स मैंडेटरी दैट देयर शैल बी अ प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया, शैल बी अ प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया, ऑलराइट, देयर शैल बी अ प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया एंड दिस प्रेसिडेंट, आर्टिकल 53 सेज, ये जो प्रेसिडेंट साहब हैं, द प्रेसिडेंट, सो व्हाट विल हैपन, वो पर्टिकुलरली बात करता है एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर ऑफ द यूनियन की। आर्टिकल 53 इज टॉकिंग अबाउट द व्हाट? एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर ऑफ यूनियन। फाइन, so it talks about the executive power of the union basically. So what is it article 53 saying? Ki clause 1, the executive power of the union shall be vested in the president. तो अब ये president करेंगे क्या? So जितना भी executive power है, it shall be vested in the president. It is in the name of the president and shall be exercised by him either directly or through officers subordinate to him. So what I was saying that under article 53 the word officers subordinate to him जो लिखा हुआ है उसका क्या मतलब है? Basically the ministers, the council of ministers, all right? So the executive power of the union shall be vested in the president and shall be exercised by him, all right, either directly or through officers subordinate to him in accordance with this constitution. Now can he exercise in any way he wants to? No. He has to exercise or she has to exercise in accordance with the constitution of the India. So that is what your article 53 is saying. Alright, कि executive power of the union जो है वो किसमें vested है? Generally they ask you in preliminary that in whom the executive power of the union is vested. So it is vested in the President of India, and he's supposed to exercise. It shall be exercised by him either directly or indirectly, either directly or through officers subordinate to him in accordance with this constitution. Now the question which arises is that what do we understand by executive power of the union? ये है क्या? What is this executive power of the union? Alright, what do we understand by this? So see, when we talk of, क्योंकि बाकी सारी चीजें तो आप definitely समझ लेंगे. When we talk of, and that's a bare, bare act reading, simple article reading. But when you talk of executive power of the union, that simply means an executive power is not just confined to the administration of laws which are already enacted. That is what you have to understand. Executive power की जब हम बात करते हैं, so executive power केवल वो नहीं है कि जो law बन गया उसको जो law enact हो गया है उसका जब आप administration कर रहे हैं उसको लागू कर रहे हैं, that is not just the definition of executive power. And actually executive power को एक straight jacket formula में एक particular exhaustive definition में define करना possible भी नहीं है in a welfare state. Alright. So whatever residuary functions, जो भी functions रह जाते हैं, which is necessary for the law and order, for the welfare of the people, for determining the government policy, ठीक है, for initiation of any legislation, जो भी residuary function रह जाता है after the legislature and the judiciary, so that is considered to be the executive power of the union. So executive power, and that is extended to what extent? जिस पे कि parliament काम कर सके. So executive power of the union is basically coextensive with the legislative power of the union. Legislatures जिन पे, जैसे कि आपको पता है कि आर्टिकल 246 जो है वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करता है द पावर बिटवीन, basically talks about distribution of legislative power. हमने इसके बारे में बात की है सेंटर स्टेट रिलेशन में, between the center and the states, and lays down कि पार्लियामेंट जो है वो किन मैटर्स पे जो है वो लॉ बना सकता है. जिन मैटर्स पे पार्लियामेंट, and particularly the subject matter falling in the union list and the concurrent list, and emergency टाइम पे वो सिचुएशन चेंज हो जाती है, require a unitary form of government. Alright, so जिन subject matters पे पार्लियामेंट लॉ बना सकता है, all those powers are, in the realm of the president. Clear? यहाँ तक clear है everyone? ठीक. Fine. अब सबसे बड़ी बात, प्रेसिडेंट की क्वालिफिकेशन. क्या कोई भी प्रेसिडेंट बन सकता है? Can anybody become the president of India? बताइए कहाँ पे प्रोवाइडेड है? आर्टिकल 58 पे आ जाइए प्लीज, ऑल ऑफ यू. Please come to Article 58. Qualification for election as the President of India. Alright? Please come to Article 58. What is Article 58? It talks about election of President. ठीक है, what does it says? So basically जब आप आर्टिकल 58 देखेंगे तो आप जो भी क्वालिफिकेशन दी हुई है उसको दो पार्ट्स में डिवाइड कर सकते हैं, पॉजिटिव क्वालिफिकेशन एंड नेगेटिव क्वालिफिकेशन. अब पॉजिटिव क्वालिफिकेशन क्या है? जो कि आपको बताता है कि क्या क्या होना चाहिए. नेगेटिव क्वालिफिकेशन क्या है? कि जो कि आपको ये बताता है कि क्या क्या नहीं होना चाहिए. ठीक है, तो पॉजिटिव क्वालिफिकेशन में द पर्सन शुड बी अ सिटीजन ऑफ इंडिया. He should have completed the age of 35 years and he should be qualified for election as a member of the Lok Sabha. I repeat, the person should have, should be a citizen of India. The person should have completed the age of 35 years and he should be qualified for election as a member of the Lok Sabha. So that person, he or she, can become a president of India. Alright. Then negative qualification में, ठीक है, what does a negative qualification says? That a person should not hold any office of profit under the government of India or the government of any state or under any local or other authority. So, कोई office of profit hold किया हुआ नहीं होना चाहिए. But other than a president, vice president of India, governor of a state और central or state minister, क्योंकि एक president re-elect भी हो सकता है. ठीक है. So other than a president, vice president or governor of a state or council of minister, central or state minister, he should not be holding any other office of profit. And then that he should not be a member of either house of parliament or a house of the legislature of any state. So he should also not be a member of the parliament, all right, or house of, he should be qualified to be a, see, आपको यहाँ confusion हो सकता है कि qualification में आप कह रहे हो कि he should be qualified for election as a member of the Lok Sabha. So जो requirements हैं qualification चाहिए for being the member of a Lok Sabha, वो qualification उसके अंदर होनी चाहिए. The president should have those qualifications, but this does not mean that he should be already a member of the house of the parliament or a house of the legislature of a state. So there is a difference, and that difference you have to understand. ठीक? Now, how does a president can resign? So we know when you read Article 56, I'm writing it over here if you can see it. That is related to Article 56, resignation. President resign कैसे कर सकता है? How does a president resign? All right. So the president can resign from his office before the expiry of his tenure. अब president का term कितना होता है? What is the term of office? Anybody can tell me? What is the term of office of the president? बताइए. Generally, what is the term of office? If we read Article 56, इसको क्या दिया हो इसमें? Basically, Article 56 talk about the term of office, है ना? क्या है term of office president का? 5 years. All right. So the president shall hold office for a term of 5 years, fine, from the date on which he enters upon his office. Provided that they say that the president may by writing, कैसे resign कर सकते हैं? By writing under his hand, in his own writing, address to the vice president, he may resign from his office. And also, ठीक है, what is the vice president going to do? The resignation is required to be communicated by the vice president to the speaker of the Lok Sabha. Why speaker of the Lok Sabha? Because if you remember the qualification of the president, one of the qualification is that he should be qualified for election as a member of the Lok Sabha. ठीक? So this is one of the things that you need to remember, that his resignation should be communicated by the vice president to the speaker of the Lok Sabha. Now then, the president may also be removed, not only resign, the president may also be removed from his office before the expiry of his term. By what process? By the process of impeachment. Now let me move this. So Article 56 becomes an important article. Reason there why? The reason is that Article 56 basically बात करता है term of office की, ठीक है, जिसमें वो बताता है कि 5 years है, plus it also tells you about that the president can resign. All right, the president can be removed, and how the president can be removed? Through impeachment. ठीक है, the president can be removed through impeachment. Right? And what is the ground for impeachment? The ground for impeachment is what? For the violation of the Constitution. For the violation of Constitution. That is the only ground. Alright. For the violation of the Constitution, he may be removed from his office according to the procedure that is provided under Article 61. Violation of Constitution and impeachment का procedure कहाँ पे दिया हुआ है? The procedure is provided under where? Under Article 61. ठीक है? Check एक बार. There it is written, procedure for the impeachment of the president. Clear? Clear everyone? Now, but in spite of all that, removal वाली बात तो ठीक है, but till the time his successor has entered the office, the president is supposed to continue in his office. So when you read the proviso C of Article 56, what does it say? It says the president shall, notwithstanding the expiration of the term, even if the term has expired, so the president shall, notwithstanding the expiration of the term, all right, continue to hold office until his successor enter upon his office. until his successor enter upon his office. ठीक है. Now, I already told you, जो आपका clause 2 में है कि any resignation which is addressed to the vice president under clause A, proviso to clause 1 shall be forwarded to be communicated to the speaker of the Lok Sabha. अब impeachment का procedure क्या है? What is the procedure of the impeachment? So let's talk about that. Let's shift it upwards and talk about that. थोड़ा सा हम इसको समझ लेते हैं simple words में. I'll request you to read the article. I'll just tell you in simple words कि impeachment का procedure क्या है. So article 61. So how can you remove the president on the grounds of, what is the ground? The ground is violation of the constitution. Because जब आप article 53 पढ़ेंगे, so article 53 में क्या लिखा हुआ है? That the president shall work according to the provisions of this constitution. So if the president, because it is mandatory for the president to work according to the provisions of the constitution, ये कहाँ से आ रहा है? ये वहीं से आ रहा है, ठीक है, article 53 से. So if the president is not working according to the provisions of the constitution, then it is the violation of the constitution and the president can be removed through the process of impeachment. And what is impeachment? ठीक है, the procedure is provided under article 61, ठीक, which says that the charges, basically जो charge होता है against the president, it can be preferred by either house of the parliament. क्योंकि president का election कैसे होता है? Electoral College में, we have to do that article. Electoral College में both the members of the houses are involved, ठीक है. So यहाँ पे जब हम बात करते हैं the charge against the president, जो भी charge आपने level किया है against the president for violation of the constitution, ठीक, so that can be preferred by either house. चाहे वो लोकसभा कर सकती है, चाहे वो राज्यसभा कर सकती है. कैसे कर सकती है? Via resolution, ठीक है. सुन लो इसको ध्यान से. Under Article 61, any of the house can prefer the charge against the president. कैसे? Through a resolution, and this resolution should proceed, ठीक है, I mean it should be preceded by at least 14 days notice in writing, ठीक है, आपको 14 days notice in writing देना पड़ेगा president को. Now the notice, ये जो notice आप serve करेंगे, this notice should be signed by not less than 1/4 of the total members of the house. जो notice है, it should be signed by not less than 1/4 of the total members of the house, and it should be passed by a majority of not less than 2/3 of the total membership of the house. Now this is difficult. That is why the impeachment proceeding becomes difficult, because it is not easy to get, well, पहले तो you have to get it signed by 1/4 of the total membership of the house, and then it has to be passed by 2/3 of the total membership of the house. Majority of not less than 2/3 of the total membership of the house. And the notice should clearly express the intention to remove the president, ठीक है, that is also there. ये जो notice आप forward करेंगे, 14 days notice, which should clearly express the intention to remove the president, and then it can be preferred by either house of the parliament, whether Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. अब जिस house में, let's suppose Lok Sabha में ये charges prefer हुए हैं, so the other house will act as an investigating house of these charges. So Rajya Sabha will act as an investigating house of these charges, and there the president will get the opportunity to participate in the investigation process. Now, if after the investigation the house finds the president guilty and passes a resolution by a majority, again a resolution has to be passed. If the house finds the president guilty, so a resolution has to be passed by not less than 2/3 of its total membership, declaring that the charge which is preferred against the president, okay, has been sustained. And it would have, once the charge has been sustained, एक बार house ने resolution pass करके बोल दिया with the 2/3 majority कि ये जो charge है वो prove हो गया है, so that will have the effect of removing the president from his office from the date on which the resolution is so passed. जिस दिन वो रेजोल्यूशन पास हुआ है, उस दिन से द प्रेसिडेंट, द इफेक्ट विल बी दैट द प्रेसिडेंट शैल बी रिमूव्ड. क्लियर है? क्लियर है सबको? व्हाट इज द इम्पीचमेंट का प्रोसीजर? एक बार फिर से इसको सुन लीजिएगा. ऑलराइट, डू लिसन टू इट वंस मोर. फाइन, सो आपको ये क्लियर हो जाएगा और इसको कहीं लिख लीजिएगा. अब जब हम इलेक्शन ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट की बात करते हैं, सो इलेक्शन ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट में, ठीक है, कहाँ प्रोवाइडेड है इलेक्शन ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट, एंड बाकी और भी आर्टिकल्स देख लीजिएगा, ओथ एंड ऑल कहाँ पे दिया हुआ है. सो इलेक्शन ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट, यू नो, बेसिकली इट इज प्रोवाइडेड इन योर आर्टिकल 54. आर्टिकल 54 टॉक्स अबाउट द इलेक्शन ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट. ठीक है, कि जो प्रेसिडेंट है दे शैल बी इलेक्टेड बाय द मेंबर्स ऑफ द इलेक्टोरल कॉलेज. अब इलेक्टोरल कॉलेज में कौन होता है, ये अगेन आपके इम्पॉर्टेंट हो जाता है एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से. हम बेसिकली वही आर्टिकल यहाँ पे कवर कर रहे हैं जो आपके एग्जामिनेशन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से, पर्टिकुलरली यहाँ से क्वेश्चंस आपके प्रिलिमिनरी में या जीके में आता है जो कि इम्पॉर्टेंट है. सो इलेक्टोरल कॉलेज कंसिस्ट ऑफ, नाउ लेट मी शिफ्ट दिस अपवर्ड्स. अच्छा, it will be announced, but tomorrow the class is at 12. All right, although it will be announced, but tomorrow the class will be at 12. All right, so electoral college consists of, it consists of, ठीक है, elected members and not nominated members. Elected members of both houses, not just nominated members. Please, members are nominated also in Rajya Sabha. Anglo Indian community तो हटा दिया है with the amendment. कौन सी amendment हमने अभी कल ही डिस्कस किया है. Elected members of both houses of parliament so both houses of parliament मतलब लोक सभा plus राज्य सभा. And because the president represents the nation, so the elected members of legislative assemblies. Which amendment I am asking? कल ही डिस्कस किया है हमने. Elected members of legislative assemblies of state. I am writing it in short form. Elected members of legislative assemblies of state. ठीक है. So जब हम president, and what is the difference between president and vice president का electoral college? वाइस प्रेसिडेंट के केस में जो इलेक्टोरल कॉलेज है दैट डज नॉट कंसिस्ट ऑफ द मेंबर्स ऑफ द लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली ऑफ स्टेट. इट कंटेन्स बोथ द इलेक्टेड एंड नॉमिनेटेड मेंबर्स ऑफ लोकसभा एंड राज्यसभा, राइट. बट व्हेन वी टॉक ऑफ द इलेक्टोरल कॉलेज ऑफ द प्रेसिडेंट, सो इलेक्टोरल कॉलेज जो कंसिस्ट है प्रेसिडेंट के लिए, वहां पे कौन है, वहां पे कौन लोग हैं, वहां पे इलेक्टेड मेंबर्स ऑफ बोथ द हाउस, नॉमिनेटेड मेंबर्स नहीं है. आई एम रिपीटिंग इट. इलेक्टेड मेंबर्स ऑफ बोथ द हाउसेज ऑफ पार्लियामेंट है, of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and the elected members of the legislative assemblies of state. ठीक. So ये difference याद रखिएगा please. Please remember this difference, you know, of the electoral college between the president and the vice president. This has to be kept in your mind. ठीक है. अब quickly, you know, towards the end, we are moving towards the end, and we will quickly talk about that there are different powers, multiple powers of the president. I would ask you to go through all the articles if possible. I'll quickly, you know, tell you that what are these powers. Powers of president. See, ये जो powers of president है, so इनको आप कई सारी categories में divide कर सकते हो, ठीक है. So there are executive powers, there are legislative powers, there are financial powers, there are judicial powers, all right, judicial and diplomatic powers, and there are emergency powers, right. अब executive powers क्या क्या है, what are the executive powers? Let me write down. अच्छा, मैं केवल इतना तो लिख ही देती हूँ. Executive powers. Just a second, please. All right. So we have executive powers. Executive powers are like, so all executive powers दिया ही हुआ है. All right. All executive powers are exercised by him directly or through subordinate officers. Who are subordinate officers? We have already understood. Then he is also the ex officio. You know, he's the supreme commander. Exactly. He's a supreme commander of the defense forces. Right. We know that. So he's, as someone said right now. All right, as someone said right now, that he makes all important appointments right? Whatever like related to the governors, the lieutenant governors, the chief justice and judges of the Supreme Court, all right, high courts, prime ministers and union ministers. So all these are what? All these relevant appointments, these are what? These are the executive powers of the president. Then he also make, he must, as you know, that this is one of the power that he must be informed about the decision of the Council of Ministers. So that is also one of the powers of the president. Then he governs the union territories through the administrators or lieutenant governors. That is also one of the executive power of the president. Then he has the power to remove his ministers individually. ठीक है, इंडिविजुअली रिमूव, कलेक्टिव रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी की बात नहीं हो रही है. काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स की कलेक्टिव रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टू द, ठीक है, पार्लियामेंट है. सो ही हैज द पावर टू रिमूव हिज मिनिस्टर्स इंडिविजुअली, right? The Attorney General of India, the Governor of a state, the Chairman of members of the Public Service Commission. So he has all these powers. So this comes under the category of executive powers. अब legislative powers क्या है? What are the legislative powers? ठीक है. So legislative powers में you know that the president can, the president has the power to summon, to prorogue the session, to address the parliament at the commencement. So जब भी parliament शुरू होता है, who addresses the parliament session? The president addresses the parliament session at the commencement of the first session after each general election, all right? And the first session of each year. जो भी general election के बाद भी जो first session होता है, और हर साल जो पहला सेशन होता है, so it is addressed by whom? It is addressed by the president, all right? He can also summon a joint sitting जहाँ पे भी deadlock हो गया है, अगर between both the houses of the parliament. So yes, ordinance making rule, absolutely. So जहाँ पे भी deadlock हो गया है, so वहाँ पे definitely in the case of deadlock he can summon for the joint sitting of both the houses of the parliament. कि अगर कोई बिल है, ठीक है, उस बिल पे दोनों हाउसेस में राय जो है नहीं कायम हो पा रही है, समंजस नहीं वो हो पा रहा है, देन इन उस केस में क्या करेगा प्रेसिडेंट? तो प्रेसिडेंट कैन ऑलवेज कॉल फॉर अ joint sitting of both the houses of the parliament, which will be presided over by the speaker of the Lok Sabha. ये आपसे पूछ लेते हैं कई बार एग्जाम में कि if the joint sitting of both the houses of parliament is there, so it will be presided by whom? It will be presided over by the speaker of the Lok Sabha. Hello Pranjal. Hello everyone. Okay, now he can also send messages to either houses of parliament in regard to any bill. अगर वो कोई message भेजना चाहते हैं तो वो bill मतलब messages भी भेज सकते हैं. Then there are so many powers related to all the bills. There are certain bills which cannot be introduced into the parliament without the recommendation or the previous sanction of the president. All right. So for example, अगर आप कोई नया state बनाना है, अगर government कोई नया state बनाना चाहती है, creation or organization of a state, money bill cannot be introduced without the recommendation of the president, all right? Or a bill which is involving the expenditure from the consolidated fund of India, that also cannot be introduced without the recommendation of the president, all right? Then a bill affecting basically the taxation of the states. So all these important bills, so there are certain bills in the category which cannot be actually introduced or cannot be brought into the parliament without the sanction or the recommendation of the president. So there the legislative power of the president lies. Then most important, the veto power. So no one of the power, हालांकि इसका कोई time limit नहीं provided है, but then and there has been so many examples related to when Gyani Jail Singh was the president and all, even the time of when the P.V. Narasimha Rao government was there. So postal bill से related and all that. So जब भी कोई bill pass होता है, you know that when the bill is passed by both the houses of the parliament, so in order to become an act, it has to get the assent of the president. All right, अगर उसको presidential assent नहीं मिला है, then in that particular case it will not become an act and it cannot be enacted. All right. So where a bill is sent to him basically, so it becomes it has been passed by the parliament, so president can give his assent. So president के पास options हैं. President can give his assent, all right, to the bill, or the president can withhold his assent. President नहीं देंगे assent, वो withhold कर लेंगे अपना assent, ठीक है? Or what will he do? He will withhold the assent. He'll return the bill for the reconsideration. So these are the options which are, except the money bill, because money bill is he cannot for reconsideration of the parliament. Basically, अगर आ गया है एक बार, so he has to pass it because money bill is introduced on the recommendation of the president, and that is about the money, the finance of the country, the economy has to run. So there is a logic behind it. But the point is कि if the president wants with respect to the other bills, so he can actually withhold, he can give the assent, he can withhold his assent, he can return. Now, before, what happened, that generally there was a situation in the history where the bill was sent for reconsideration multiple number of times, but then it was realized that दो बार से ज़्यादा you cannot send the bill for reconsideration. And if you are doing so, if the bill has been returned again after your message of reconsideration by the parliament, then the president has to provide, and the president is not left with any option but has to provide the assent for it. हाँ, आपने पार्लियामेंट में नहीं भेजा है और आपने कितने दिन के लिए उसको विथहोल्ड करके रखा हुआ है, उसका कोई टाइम लिमिट नहीं है. ठीक है, देयर इज नो टाइम लिमिट फॉर गिविंग द एसेंट बाय द प्रेसिडेंट. So the president can, at his own sweet will, can decide to not give the assent to the. And that is one way. That is one of the powers in which, if a president wants, actually, he can withhold the inaction of a particular bill that has been passed by the parliament. So this is actually a very strong power, but then iski bhi ek limit hai if you have sent it for reconsideration. Take then there are certain other bills which are. I think I have already discussed this with you, that there are certain other bills which are kept for the assent of the president, or for the suggestions to be taken by the president by the state legislature, and that is reserved by the governor for the president's consideration. All right, so that we have already discussed in our center state relationship. Exactly. क्यों- वो discussion काफी very good, Pranjal. Yes, and that was a very interesting story. Even the postal bill story, then our Venkatraman story. So these are certain things which I would request you can go into the history, and you can थोड़ा सा एक series है. Hmm. ठीक है, संविधान करके, if you people want, you can just go and see it and also read it. ये MB Jain में and all these books. ठीक है, if you can read it, if you have time, so you can go ahead and read it at this, and you can find these wonderful stories over there. And as I think someone, Tushita said, I think someone already said that one of the most important legislative power of the president is promulgating the ordinance power of the president, Article 123. We have already talked about it. All right, and nominating the 12 members of the Rajya Sabha Anglo-Indian Committee, we know that there has been an amendment, so we are not talking about it. Now, then the president has financial powers. All right, financial powers of the president. Yes, Lok Sabha TV, Samvidhan. Lok Sabha TV is actually a, although this is an open forum, आजकल knowledge की dearth नहीं है, आप कहीं से भी knowledge बटोर सकते हैं, but that is one of the TV where you can. ठीक है? So I would like the you people to answer this question. Has this happened ever in India? अच्छा, financial powers पे आ जाते हैं. Let me complete this first. ठीक है? So as I said, financial powers में one of the power is that no money bill can be introduced in parliament without president's previous sanction. So you know that is one of the financial powers. All right. He can make advances out of the contingency fund of India. अगर कोई unforeseen expenditure ऐसा आ जाता है, जैसे कुछ भी, अभी जैसे कि ये पैंडेमिक सिचुएशन था, ठीक है, या फिर ऑन अकाउंट ऑफ फ्लड्स या ड्रॉट्स या व्हाटएवर, या कोई अचानक से वॉर डिक्लेयर हो जाती है, so in that particular case he can make advances out of the contingency fund of India. He has that much of power, but that has to be approved by the parliament. It requires, so it ऐसा नहीं है कि he can do it on his own. That has to be approved by the parliament. Then he has the power to determine, what are the shares of the states with respect to the proceeds of the income tax and the amount of जो भी yearly grants होते हैं, grant in aid जो provide किया जाता है different states को. So president has the power to determine that as well. And he causes to be laid, वो जो address करते हैं union budget देने से पहले, so he causes to be laid before the parliament the annual financial statement, which is the union budget at the beginning, अभी होगा आपका at the beginning of the financial year. And that is very important, in that thank you note which he provides. That's a kind of a political situation also, where the president actually talks about the achievements of the current government, कि government ने जो है क्या क्या achieve किया है, क्या क्या उन्होंने successful कैसे रहे हैं, how the administration has worked, how the enactments have worked, how the government is working, how the government is foreseeing, कैसे government देख रही है आगे की वो कैसे काम करेगी. So all these things are given in that presidential address, which is a kind of, कहा जाता है, which is a kind of, it's a power show by the current government in front of the parliament that is all we have achieved and that is how we are planning to work. And इसके अगेंस्ट भी जो है अगर नो कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन जो है अगर पास हो जाए तो देन द गवर्नमेंट कैन बी, हालांकि पॉसिबल नहीं है करंट सिचुएशन में बिकॉज वी आर ऑलरेडी हैविंग अ मेजोरिटी गवर्नमेंट, but in case of a hung parliament, in case of a coalition government, basically, yes, this can be a possibility. So this address at the time of the union budget, at the time of the annual financial statement, it is very, very important address which is given by the president. Then that the other part, the president has some judicial power जिस पे debate होता है कि it is in the nature of judicial power but it is not exactly a judicial power, but yes, it is still there. So the president is empowered to, let me shift it this side. So the president, is empowered to basically, pardon the offenders or to remit the sentences or to reprieve, to suspend or commute their sentences. All right. So pardoning power है president के पास, and he also appoints the जैसे diplomatic functions की अगर हम बात करें, so all the diplomats, all the ambassadors, they are appointed and they receive the credentials basically or everything in the name of the exactly Article 72. So just go through it. All right, clemency की जो power है that is also called as clemency. ठीक है, just read this. Fine, just read this all of you. ठीक है, clemency. And then emergency power, we have already discussed about it, the last in the category. हालांकि मैं इसको उधर भी डाल सकते थे, but then ठीक है, just for the purpose of your exams. That is how it is being asked in the colleges, and also that is how I have studied. So, and that is how I teach you, the way I have studied. So emergency powers, basically, you know that under Article 352, okay, then Article 356, Article 352 we have already discussed, so I'm not getting into the detail of it. National emergency की बात हम कर चुके हैं, that how the proclamation is being done, on the written advice of the council, cabinet. The word cabinet is used over there. And when it will be done, when there is a war, when there is an external aggression, when there is an armed rebellion, and you know that by the amendment, by the 44th amendment, the word internal disturbance was removed. And I have already discussed the background. We have talked about the background, at the time of Indira Gandhi government, what happened, how the Allahabad High Court judgment came, and what all was the repercussion after that, and why this emergency, that 25th June emergency was declared, and all those things. We have already talked about it. So that is one part of Article 352. Then Article 356, constitutional breakdown. ठीक है, and then कि वो हमें अभी cover करना है, so we'll be talking about it as you people have asked for it, so I'll be taking that class. And then Article 360 financial emergency, जो कि आज तक डिक्लेयर नहीं हुई है, बट ये सारी इमरजेंसी डिक्लेयर करने का, प्रोमलगेट करने का पावर जो है किसके पास है? ये प्रेसिडेंट के पास है, when the different situations are met. ठीक है, so this is all from my side with respect to, we have talked about the background. Constituent Assembly में जो डिस्कस किया गया था, we have talked about different cases. We have, जहाँ पे प्रेसिडेंट की पोजिशनिंग को डिस्कस किया गया है, स्टैंडिंग को डिस्कस किया गया है. We also talked about, the position of president with respect to Article 74. ठीक, then हमने 2-3 cases डिस्कस कर लिए हैं. We talked about the appointment, we talked about the qualification, we talked about removal, the process of removal, election, term of office, and then what are the powers of the president. So in short, this is all about president that I have to present in front of you. And then tomorrow we meet with new topic. And what are the other topics you have told me you want to discuss? President rule. And please Telegram group पे डाल दीजिएगा. आप लोग हैं ना सारे लोग Telegram group पे? If not, please join the Telegram group. It is given, in the description. The link is provided. And so that It will be there in my mind as well, and definitely we can plan out a session for it. And next week onwards, we are starting with a new subject. All right. So thank you so much, all of you, for today. And I'm signing off, and we are meeting again soon. So thank you, all of you. Take care. Bye bye. And yes, do not forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. All right. Bye.